because you haven't satisfied me as a legislator. And I think that there are other people on this committee that feel the same way across party stripe. We don't trust you. Why would we give you these powers if you don't plan to use them? I don't think you guys have made the case, and that concerns me. I feel like you guys are hiding something.
Canadians, stop scrolling and listen carefully. This video is not just politics. This is about power that can touch your job, your status, and your future in Canada. In earlier video, you saw Michelle Rempel-Garner ask a very simple question. Why is the government asking for mass powers when they admit they have no plan to use them? No active cases, no current needs, so why ask for it at all? Now in this video, more questions raises by Michelle Rempel-Garner, and you will hear the government's answer. They will talk about COVID. They will talk about emergencies. They will talk about flexibility. But here's the real question you must ask yourself. If a power is not needed today, should it exist tomorrow? And if one day your file is paused or stopped in bulk, will you still believe this was only for emergencies? And if one day your file is paused or stopped in bulk, will you still believe this was only for emergencies?
I just want to go back to the mass cancellation powers. In earlier testimony, you've outlined that these powers could be used in cases of fraud. Do you plan on using them should the bill pass to address cases of fraud? Are there any active cases that you would use this on?
We don't have any active plans to use it, no.
So there are no active plans at present to use the power whatsoever?
No.
So then why did you propose it?
Do you ever think, why is the government asking for mass cancellation powers when they say they have no plan to use them? This question matters because these powers can directly affect real people. If you work, study, run a business, or live in Canada, any immigration decision changes the job market, housing, services, and cost of living. In this clip, Michelle Rempel-Garner asked a very direct question. Are you planning to use these mass cancellation powers for fraud or any active cases? The answer from the official was clear and shocking. No active plans, no current use, no specific cases. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Giving big powers without a clear reason makes Canadians worried about how those powers could be used later. 2. Immigration rules directly affect jobs, rent, healthcare, and how fast communities can grow safely. 3. Parliament exists to ask hard questions, not to hand over authority without full explanation. 4. If officials cannot clearly say why they need a power, Canadians have a right to doubt it.
We proposed it on the tail end of experiences that we learned through COVID, where we saw that there could have been a need to have a mass power to extend or pause documents, applications. And so we thought that it was a good idea to be able to respond to crises, emergency situations.
Just think one time. Why is the government using COVID as a reason to ask for more immigration power? This question matters because COVID was an emergency, but Canada is not in COVID anymore. If emergency powers stay forever, they can affect every Canadian's job, rent, services, and future without Parliament saying yes or no. In this part, the official says these powers are needed because of lessons learned during COVID. They argue that in emergencies, the government needs to move fast without waiting for Parliament. But this raises a big question. If COVID is over, why are emergency powers still needed today? And who decides when an emergency starts or ends? Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. COVID was a temporary crisis, but these powers would be permanent and could be used anytime. 2. Fast decisions without Parliament can affect immigration numbers, border control, and public services. 3. What is called an emergency is not clear, and that makes Canadians uneasy. 4. If powers are used to pause or extend status, it directly impacts job competition, housing demand, and healthcare wait times.
We're sitting here in 18 months from now, and I pull this testimony up, you guys won't have, and I'm doing ATIPs on you guys, there's nothing that you would have been planning to use these powers for, absolutely nothing.
So we have no plans to use the power. We're not going to turn around if the bill passes and start submitting an order in council. I mean, there are going to be areas of the department, there could be groups that come to us to say, hey, maybe we should look at this. Like, there's emerging threats on a daily basis.
Just think why ask for a power you say you do not plan to use? This question matters because giving a big power without a clear plan creates fear and confusion. Canadians want to know who controls immigration decisions, how often this power could be used, and what stops it from being used later without warning. In this part, the official says they have no current plan to use the power, but admits that emerging threats could change that at any time. This sounds like the door is being left open. Canadians are asking a fair question. If there is no plan today, why lock in such a strong power for tomorrow? Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Saying no plans now does not mean no use later, and that makes people uncomfortable. 2. Emerging threats are not defined, so Canadians do not know what would trigger this power. 3. Immigration decisions affect workers, students, renters, and communities across Canada. 4. When power can be used quickly and quietly, trust in government starts to break down.
I don't understand why it's in here then.
Because we don't know what's around the corner. So we need that flexibility.
I also don't understand why you couldn't use legislation.
Because legislation takes a super long time to pass.
But this is a pretty big power, right? That you're asking for.
It's a
so
big
shouldn't
power
it require?
with a significant amount of checks and balances. It's not
because you don't come to Parliament through this, right?
This question has something to think. Why does the government need such a big power instead of using normal laws? This question matters because giving power outside of Parliament means Canadians have less control. If the government can act fast without oversight, it can impact jobs, housing, students, and immigration decisions without people having a say. In this part, the official explains that legislation takes too long to pass. They say the power is big but with checks and balances. But the real issue is this. Canadians don't know how often or under what circumstances this power could be used. The question remains, if Parliament could handle it, why give such a strong, quick-use power to the bureaucracy? Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Legislation takes time, but fast powers can be used without full approval, creating uncertainty for Canadians. 2. Big powers outside Parliament affect jobs, immigration status, and community services quickly and directly. 3. Checks and balances are mentioned, but details are unclear, leaving Canadians wondering how safe it is. 4. When government can act without explaining to lawmakers, trust in the system starts to weaken, and people feel they have no say.
And there wasn't really a circumstance in the past where you needed it. Why we should devolve these powers to you without any parliamentary oversight? You're not making the case for me here, and I'm honestly on the fence.
Right.
Mr. Zuberi has raised some points about defining the powers. Why would we give you these powers if you don't plan to use them? Give me an example.
Do you ever think if this power has never been needed before, why give it now? This question matters because giving a big power without clear purpose can affect every Canadian. Jobs, housing, student status, and health services could all be impacted if this power is used in the future. Canadians need to know why it exists and how it will be controlled. Michelle Rempel-Garner asks why the government should have this power if there is no current need. The official struggles to give examples and explain the purpose. The real point? This power is being asked for just in case. And that raises questions about transparency, accountability, and who really decides. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. If a power has never been used before, Canadians have a right to ask why it should exist now. 2. Just in case. Powers mean decisions can be made without full parliamentary review, affecting jobs, students, and immigrants. 3. Lack of clear examples creates confusion and downs trust in government actions. 4. Transparency and accountability are essential when giving agency the ability to act quickly, or Canadians could be impacted unknowingly.
An example is, a country called Mike is planning foreign espionage, and we have received an uptake in applications. So we see that there's something weird going on. So instead of looking at these one by one, allowing these people to come into the country, tying up border offices, we could put in a recommendation to the Order in Council to say this cohort of applications with name Michelle Rempel-Garner coming from Mike country applied here, we will pause.
How can government use this power to stop potential threats before they happen? This question matters because if the government can pause or cancel applications for potential threats, it could affect real people waiting for work, study, or residency. Canadians want to know who decides what is a threat and how it impacts jobs, housing, and services in the country. In this clip, the official explains that if they see a group of applications from a country with potential risks, they can use the power to pause them all at once. For example, if there is a suspicion of foreign espionage, they could stop applications before anyone enters Canada. This shows how strong the power is and why Canadians need to think about how it could affect ordinary people. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. This power can stop applications before issues occur, but it also means people could be blocked without warning. 2. Decisions on potential threats are not clearly defined, making it hard for Canadians to understand who is affected. 3. Using power quickly can impact jobs, housing, and immigrants waiting for status, which affects local communities. 4. Canadians need to ask, is it safe to give such power without full parliamentary oversight or public transparency?
And we will review them, and we will try to build a case to see whether or not this is a risk to Canada.
But don't you have that power already today?
We don't have that
You
power
do
already
under
today.
ministerial distraction,
We
though,
do
right?
not. We do not have the ability to pause any kind of processing of applications. Mass.
I think
case
you
by
do,
case.
actually. I think
Case
you
by
do.
case.
I think if you look through it, you do. I don't think you guys have made the case, and that concerns me. I feel like you guys are hiding something.
Why can't government pause applications without this new power? This question matters because if the government can't act on certain applications today, it creates delays and risks. Canadians want to know if this power is really needed, or if existing rules are enough to protect jobs, housing, and public services. In this part, the official admits they do not have the ability to pause applications as they see fit. Michelle Rempel points out that some powers might exist already, but the government is not clear. This leaves Canadians wondering if the new power is about emergency needs, or just to give bureaucrats more control without oversight. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Current system may have limits, but the new power creates a way to act quickly without clear rules. 2. Canadians need to know if their jobs, housing, or services could be impacted by quick decisions. 3. Lack of transparency makes people worried that powers could be misused or exceeded. 4. Giving this power without clear guidelines can reduce trust in immigration and government systems.
And that's the fact that you haven't defined the powers,
there's
that there's no reporting requirement. I think you guys kind of swung and missed on this one a bit. And I would encourage you to try and rectify that in the 48 hours that we have before we have to start amending this bill, because you haven't satisfied me as a legislator. And I think that there are other people on this committee that feel the same way across party stripe. We don't trust you. And so we need to have, you said that there's checks and balance in this legislation. I don't think there's enough.
Why are checks and balances not clear enough in this power? This question matters because Canadians need to trust that big powers won't be misused. If rules and reporting requirements are vague, decisions on jobs, immigration, housing, and services can be made without public knowledge or Parliament approval. Michelle Rempel-Garner says the power is not clearly defined and reporting requirements are missing. She also points out that other committee members feel the same way. The official claims there are checks and balances, but Canadians still have no idea how it will work or how it will affect people waiting for status or work permits. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Unclear rules and reporting means Canadians do not know how or when the power will be used. 2. Big decisions about immigration, jobs, and housing could happen without transparency or oversight. 3. Checks and balances exist in theory, but details are missing, leaving trust in government weak. 4. Canadians have the right to ask, how will this power impact ordinary people, and who decides on its use? Thanks for watching this video. We covered how the government is asking for big new immigration powers, what it means for Canadians, and how it could affect jobs, housing, and services. If you want to stay updated on the latest Canada immigration news, House of Commons debates, and policy changes, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any important updates.